because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Karel is the one that you need to know. Now it's showtime.
One of the most powerful men in the world goes on television during a time of war. And what does he have to talk about? Losses of elections 6 years ago.
Now it's showtime.
Good Monday morning. It is the Karel Cast on this Monday, July 20th. So very glad you are joining me. Sorry, we had little technical things going on this Monday, working the bugs out, getting the kinks out, like most of you are on this Monday morning. We've had quite a weekend since you and I were last together. I don't even know where to start in terms of things that have been happening, because so many things have happened. But we will begin. Fun stuff. Did you see the World Cup? Congratulations to Spain. Thank you for not shaking our president's hand. That's pretty interesting. And to the Spanish media for cropping him out of the pictures. That's pretty interesting as well. Because no one liked him and he even got booed. But meanwhile, what was he doing at a football game? I mean, really, what was he doing at a football game? I mean, football, F-U-T-B-O-L, the original football. What was he doing there when soldiers are literally dying in his war? In fact, we now have reporting that the Pentagon has underreported the amount of people harmed or injured in this war, and we're going to talk about that. But the World Cup did go on, and one of the big things they made such a big deal about was the Madonna halftime show. And I'm just going to say it out loud. What an underwhelming piece of crap that was. I'm sorry. What a waste of enormous talent. When I was more excited to see the Muppets than I was Madonna. And I don't know how many of y'all saw it. I have a snippet. I mean, this will probably prevent my video from being monetized. But who cares? Let's try to get it going here. I think I have a way for you to see it. Let's see. That was the Madonna halftime show. That was it. Right there. There it was. That was it. BTS came on after her. They did a snippet of a song. Then Justin Bieber came on and did a snippet of a song. And then what else happened? I think that was, and Shakira. Then Shakira did a snippet of a song, and then a bunch of kids sang. And that was it. That was the halftime show. So was it great? No, it really wasn't. And I love Madonna. She has a new album. It's #1 across the world. I was expecting to see a couple songs from the album. We got a medley of music and one of the songs, Danceteria. And that's it. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Did you see the halftime show? Was it worth the hype? To me, it was like, meh. I really didn't.
If you're not visiting reallykarel.com daily, you're missing out. Get the podcast, videos, and the blog, including recipes at reallykarel.com. That's really KAREL.com.
Showtime is here, no time to fear. Karel is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Karel is the one that you need to know.
So yeah, Madonna did that, and then there was a little more show, and then that was it. By the way, for all of you saying she looks great, she does look great, but Madonna's had as much surgery as Cher. Okay, so Madonna did not age gracefully. She did not age naturally. It is fake. It is all fake. Her skin is bleached. She's had tons of surgery. The teeth are fake. Everything's fake. It's not real. And that did bother me about Madonna, because Madonna was all about being your authentic self, and she's not. That face has had more surgery than Michael Jackson's. I mean, just a ton. But she looks great. You cannot deny that. Her neck is firm as can be, unlike mine. Her skin, porcelain white from a laser. I asked my dermatologist. They even told me that she uses a cobalt laser. She goes in probably once every 6 months. But she can't do her hands. That's why they're always covered, by the way. Your hands, the skin on your hands is too thin for the cobalt layer or cobalt laser. So, but she looks great. Absolutely. God bless her. 68 years old, looks great. But it's fake. I mean, that's not what a middle-class woman will look like at 68 years of age. That's what a rich woman with access to the best care since the 80s, which she's had, and the best cosmetic surgeons. I'm not slighting her. If I could afford to have the surgery, I would. So I'm not slighting her. I am simply saying, for those of you who think, wow, she looks great. Well, of course she does. She's a creation. That is not Madonna's natural aging. That is not how she would look at 68 without fillers, surgery, and skin bleaching or skin tattooing, actually. Well, de-tattooing, the cobalt laser. But it worked. She looks great, So the surgery worked. In some people, like the Kardashians, it looks too icky. It looks great on Madonna. She doesn't look like Madonna. There's no way that person you just saw looks like the Madonna of 30 years ago. Her whole face has changed. The shape of her eyes, the shape of her nose, the shape of her lips, the shape of her cheeks, everything has changed. But she's beautiful. She is 68 and gorgeous. So, I'm not a hater. I am not hating on Madonna. Okay, I'm not. She looks wonderful. She just doesn't look like Madonna would at 68 years old. She looks like a rich woman with access to cosmetic surgery, and she presents an unrealistic ideal of beauty for 68 years old. Because 68-year-old women just don't look like that. But then again, 80-year-old women don't look like Cher or Barbara Streisand, who's 84. So yeah, Diana Ross looks great. Surgery. They've all had surgery. And now the men are doing it too. So again, not slighting any of them. If I could afford Rosie O'Donnell's surgery, Kathy Griffin's surgery, pull the neck up, pull everything, I'd do it. Make no mistake. If I had $100,000, I'd do it. But I don't, so I can't. But yeah, she does look good. And if I could afford it, I would do it too. I'm not being a hater. In fact, I'm being a little jealous. I'm just a little jealous because, hey, I'm 63. I'd love to look as good as Madonna. I would, but I don't have her money. See, even looks are classist. Unless you've got super good genes like Bo Derek did, you can't look that way when you age. You're going to look old. I saw a funny meme. It said, if your forehead wrinkles, you're poor. And that's really the truth. If your forehead wrinkles, you're poor because you can't afford Botox. But as a show, it was underwhelming. And we know she's capable of an incredible show. Now, in all of their defenses, they got zero money. Their expenses were covered. The amount of money it took them to do the show or to get there, whatever, that was covered. But in terms of salary, none of them made anything because it was for a charity. So Justin Bieber, Madonna, Shakira, they all performed for free. But there were several $1 million spent on getting them there, getting their staff there, their dancers, all of that. So that happened this weekend. And Donald Trump was a huge embarrassment, just a huge embarrassment. And I'm glad he got booed. He got booed, and then he went out and tried to steal the light from the Spanish team, and the head of FIFA literally dragged him off the stage. And in all of the media, the Spanish team has edited him out. He's not in it. Which speaks volumes. So that happened. But she looks great. She looks great, but the show itself sucked. And look, you can like someone and say the show sucked. She's probably not in charge of it. FIFA was in charge of it. So they probably said, we only want you to do a minute or 2 minutes. But I wanted much more. I wanted so much more. I wanted her to do Danceteria. I wanted her to maybe bring out Sabrina Carpenter. I wanted her to be Madonna, and I wanted a Madonna show. But it, production value wise, the whole halftime show was like, eh. I mean, people say, why are you being negative about it? I'm in show business. Okay, that's my thing. And the Super Bowl, that halftime show is a production. This arguably has a bigger audience than the Super Bowl. Okay, over 1 billion people watched the World Cup. So they really had a chance to do a spectacular show. People in the if you watch today, people that were in the stands hated the halftime show. They couldn't even see Madonna. They only saw her on the video. They didn't see her until she walked out at the end. To the people in the stands who paid like $10,000 to be there, they didn't even see her. It's like she wasn't even there, like she Zoom called it in. And then Justin Bieber just played the guitar and walked out to the center of the field. No one could really tell who he was or where he was. Shakira did a fun number, dancers and all of that. She's done the World Cup before. But still, production-wise, I blame FIFA, not Madonna, not Shakira, not Justin Bieber. I blame FIFA, or FIFA, however you want to say it. They really should have put on, since it was their first show, they should have put on a better show. I could have produced a better halftime show, especially with all that talent. I mean, Madonna, when you have Madonna there, oh my God, you've got one of the most talented stadium artists in the world. There is no one that can do a better stadium show than Madonna. So why not let Madonna have her fun, So that happened, and Trump got booed, and I'm glad he did. And then he tried to steal the spotlight from Spain, and he couldn't. And they edited there. Oh, the Australian newscaster was caught, or Fox News in Australia, who was broadcasting the World Cup. You heard them. You weren't supposed to hear them. But you heard them just say, oh, we'll just edit that out when they were talking about Donald Trump being on the field. So they were already talking about editing him out. But the halftime show as a show, underwhelming. They had some of the most talented stadium artists. Madonna, Justin Bieber certainly knows how to do a stadium show. Shakira certainly knows how, and BTS certainly knows how. So they could have done a spectacular show. Instead, it's like over way too soon. When I wanted more than 40 seconds of Madonna. I did. I wanted more than 40 seconds. I wanted her to do a whole song. Danceteria is such a good song. Everybody get up and dance. Everybody is a work of art. It's a wonderful song. And I really wanted to see her do it. So I'm not poo-pooing it as much as I am disappointed. They were hyping Madonna, 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 Madonna. And then we get 45 seconds of her. I'm like, I want more. It's Madonna. Please give me a full song. Give me dancers. Give me. So, and I'm sure that's FIFA. Again, I'm sure that Madonna, had she been in control, it would have been different. And Justin Bieber, had he been in control, it would have been different. But they had to do what FIFA asked them to do. And this is what FIFA asked them to do. And the show was produced by somebody. I don't know who, but somebody produced the show. That's who I have issue with. The producer of the show. You have all of this talent that you can draw upon. You have Madonna, Justin Bieber, BTS, Shakira, the Muppets. You've got Dudamel. You've got all of these incredible, in top of the line, just number one, people. And this is what you give us? It's the producer's fault. He should have let the artist do their thing, because that's what we were tuning in for. We were tuning in to see Madonna. Remember at the Super Bowl when they brought her in like Cleopatra into Rome, and she had all these gorgeous men pulling her in, and she was on this Egyptian thing, and then she gets on the stage and she's doing her hits, and Mia was there, and all these people, and that Super Bowl show by Madonna was one of the best ever. Just one of the best ever to happen. Prince, Madonna, Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, top 4 Super Bowl shows of all time. And so FIFA's producer, get another one. Fire that producer, get a better producer. That's who I have issue with. So, yes, the Muppets were there and they were fabulous. They were fabulous. But again, I wanted more. The Muppets were great. They were drumming, and Miss Piggy was there. She was sitting back on the thing. And that's what I mean. They had all of this wonderful talent and all of these wonderful characters, just world famous, characters. And they were sort of just thrown away. That's the producer's fault. That is not Madonna's. That is not the Muppets' fault. That's not Dunamel's fault. It's not Bieber's fault. It's the producer of the show. They were doing what they were asked to do. The producer just acted like the show was an afterthought or something. It's the only reason I tuned in. I could have cared less about I didn't care. But I tuned in for that show. And I called Steve right when I'm all, hey, Madonna's on. And by the time I got off the phone with him, which was just to say, hey, Madonna's on. Are you watching? He's like, yeah, I'm watching. And so I hung up and it was over. She was done. I'm like, what? So the producer of the show should be fired. Just fire him, get a better producer for next year, let them produce the hell out of it. And maybe because they didn't have a lot of time, they announced this show rather late in the game, so I don't know. But next year, make it a production. Okay, you got the money, you got the world's attention, let's do something with it. So that happened this weekend. And what else? Oh, the Tate brothers. Oh my God, the Tate brothers. So the Tate brothers were arrested. That happened this weekend. And, Andrew Tate, who is like this hero of the manosphere, right? He's like this hero of the manosphere. He was arrested in an outfit that you can get in Europe for 27 pounds. Not making this up. Take a look. Here we go. There we go. On the left is Andrew Tate. On the right is a female model from the H&M catalog, wearing basically the same outfit that he's wearing. And it's, as you can see, 29 euros, about $35. And this man that you see there in that photo, that man, would you like me to make it bigger? Here we go. There we go. So that man on the left is the hero of the manosphere. He's supposed to be about everything masculine. Okay? He's like the hero of the manosphere. And that's what we get. Look at that. Look at that. He's in the same outfit you could get at H&M for $29, 29 euros. And I'm not sure who wore it better, actually. I'm really, I'm not sure who wore it better. I actually think the girl looks better in it than he does. So there we have that. Good thing I don't have any bad pictures in my photo library, or you would have seen it there. So the hero of the manosphere, Andrew Tate, and his brother, arrested in Miami after an hour before posting a post daring authorities to arrest him. Okay? Daring authorities to arrest him. Saying, oh, you've got nothing on me. Just leave me alone until you can actually arrest me. Blah, and then boom, an hour later, in handcuffs, which didn't match the outfit, by the way. Now, I have no problem with Andrew Tate probably being gay. And everything I know about him, he's probably gay. I have no problem with Andrew Tate being probably gay. I have a problem with how he treats women, how he talks about women, how he treats women, and if he is a rapist and sex trafficker, as they allege, I have a big problem with that. So I have no problem with him being the hero of the manosphere and actually being gay. I have a bigger problem with how he treats women. And he's getting what he deserves. You treat women that way, you get what you deserve. All right? Have lots more to talk about. Don't go away.
Patreon is the way to show you care. Subscribe today if you dare. Keep the show on there. Patreon is the way. Now it's showtime.
All right, we are back. In answer to the chat room at youtube.com/Really Karel, yes, the tap water in Vegas comes out extraordinarily hot. There is no cold water. From late June till September, there is no cold water that comes out of the tap, period. Any tap, at the park, when I get water to put in Ember's vest, it's actually so hot I have to let it cool down. It hurts in the park. If you put your hand under the water that comes out in the park, it burns you. It's too hot. And I have to tell you all this morning, the heat really got me in a bad mood. I'm in kind of a bad mood, and I apologize for that. But the heat has gotten me in a bad mood. For the next 40 days, okay? For the next here, let me do this, since we can now do the screen here. Las Vegas 30-day forecast. Now, climate change is very real, as you know. The world is suffering, as you know. And Donald Trump is not going to do anything about it, as you know. But I do a lot of stuff outside, okay? I walk Ember several times a day. I like to get out of the house, all of that. So I do a lot of stuff outside. I want you all to look at, and it's not so much the highs, because in the daytime you can be in the house, but it's the lows, because that's when I go out in the morning. So look, here we go. Look at this. For the next 30 days, 104, 104, 106, 109, 109, 109, 111, 111, 111, 111, 111, 100. And that brings us through July. And then we get to August and 199, and then 104, 104, 104, 104, 104, 104, 106, 104, 104, 104, 104, 104, 104, 106, 106, 106. But more importantly, look right here at the average nighttime temperature, 90 degrees. Okay? Do you see here 88, 87, 89? So that means it is never in Las Vegas going to be basically below 90 degrees for 40 more days. So even at 4 in the morning, it's going to be 90 degrees. That is brutal. And it makes you irritable. My neighbor, their air conditioner's out. I offered to let them sleep here in my TV room last night. They didn't want to, but I offered it. I was literally looking for a hotel for them. They didn't have the money. I said, why don't you go to a hotel? And they said, we don't have the money. And so I was literally looking for a hotel that I could afford to give them. I didn't have $300. I was trying to find them a hotel for cheaper because I just felt so badly. Because with those temperatures, can you imagine not having air conditioning? And so this morning, it was just too much for me. I couldn't, I'm like, I can't bear this. I don't want to be here for the next 40 days. I just don't. And I can't afford to leave. So it put me kind of in a bad mood because I can't afford to leave. I should have the money to be able to afford to just go do my show somewhere else for the next 6 weeks, but I don't. So it put me in a little bit of a bad mood. That and Donald Trump. I have reached like up to here with him. Groceries are out of control. Yesterday, I left the house for an hour and a half. I went to the park. I got gas for the car because the mechanic ran it all out. I bought one donut, which actually got bought for me. I bought edibles for the month. And then I bought produce, groceries, and the stuff to make lentil split pea soup. And that's it. I bought lentils, split peas, some produce, edibles, and gas. How much do you think that morning cost? A gas, I had to put in 3/4 of a tank of gas, buy split peas, lentils, and produce, and buy edibles, which are 3 for $30. And that's, so it's 30 for $30. So it's $1 an edible. And I take 2 a day. So how much do you think I spent? How much? Just yesterday morning, I spent $223. Just yesterday morning. Left the park, filled up the car, $63 for gas. And that's 3/4 of a tank. So basically $70 for gas. Edibles were $100, and that's for a month and a half. So that's not an everyday expense, and that's for a month and a half. So edibles were 100, the gas was 70, and the grocery store was 60. So $230 yesterday morning for a little bit of groceries, edibles for the month, and a tank of gas. $230. And what is Donald Trump concerned with? Is he concerned with that? No, he's not. Over the weekend, we found out that people are dying in his unending war. Is he or MAGA concerned with that? No, they're not. Over the weekend, we found out the Pentagon has been underreporting injuries, not casualties, but injuries from the Iran war. Is he concerned with that? No, he's not. What was he concerned with? What did the power of Christ compel him to do Thursday night? To come out and rally about a 6-year-old election that he lost. He even released documents that he thought was going to be bombshell documents. Obviously, he has idiot advisors. Not only did the documents that he released reconfirm that he lost the election, that China did not meddle at all, and that Venezuela did not have the technological power to meddle in any election outside of their own. But in the documents, it states that Russia did meddle in the election for him. They were on his side. Also, as he was screaming the people in charge in 2019 and 2020 should be arrested, guess who was in charge in 2019 and 2020? Guess who? He was. And his officials. So he came out and made the case that he and his officials were so inept that the election had tampering. Even though it didn't. And the documents don't back him up. The networks wouldn't even carry the speech.
It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Karel Cast on your favorite streaming service. You're listening to the Karel Cast. Driving you home or driving you crazy. It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Karel Cast on your favorite streaming service. You're listening to the Karel Cast. Driving you home or driving you crazy.
Someone in the chat room at youtube.com/reallykarel said that Chris Martin of Coldplay produced the halftime show. If that's true, he should stick to singing because it sucked. It sucked. He had all of that talent and he did nothing with it. Nothing. Just nothing. And was it his idea for Madonna to be not on the stage? I mean, was that his idea? Let's keep her hidden. Let's bring her out for the last 5 seconds of the song. People were pissed at that. They wanted to see Madonna perform. And all they did was see her perform on the monitor. Because everything she did was down in the cavern there. If Chris Martin was the producer, never hire him again to produce a show. Ever. Because it stunk. He had all that fabulous talent, and Madonna could have done so many wonderful things, and so could Bieber. They could have sung together. You know, how fun would it have been to see Madonna and BTS and Bieber singing together, dancing? No. Nope. We get snippets, little snippets. No staging. No big sets. Nothing. Just a cover of the field, and that's that. Anyway. So, yeah, Donald Trump went on television and whined, literally whined. It's like Baby Huey. I lost the election. It's not fair. It's got to be rigged. No one believed him. The networks wouldn't even carry it on their regular feed. All the documents he released do not back him up. And this week, what happened? What happened? If this was such a bombshell and so explosive, where is the fallout this week? There is none. Oh, that Marky Mark Mullen, he's threatening states and everything else, but guess what? He can't. The Department of Homeland Security has no power over states for their elections. He cannot demand voter rolls. He can nothing. He can't do anything. And if he does, it'll end up in court. And he'll lose. You know? So we have Trump whining while troops are dying. And that's the sad part. These troops aren't just a number in the news. When you hear 2 Americans killed, that's 2 families that got the worst news of their lives over the weekend. Okay? 2 families who will never see a loved one again, a young loved one. It's not like the soldiers that died are 80, you know? They're in their 20s probably. And for what? What did we lose them for? Why did those Americans die? For what? What are we going to gain from this war with Iran? Oh, well, they died so Iran wouldn't have a nuclear weapon. There's no talks about that. There's nothing on paper about Iran not developing a nuke. There's nothing. Nothing. Okay? There is no memo of understanding. That's off the table. There's no deal. That's off the table. And we are back at active war. And if you think this can't go on, I mean, even Republicans, even Fox News is now saying, if we bombed all of their military, if we took out all of their bases, if we bombed a majority of their infrastructure, how are they still fighting? Because we didn't. Because Trump lies. And what is Peter Hegseth concerned with while we're at war? The testosterone level of men, because he wants to be gay so badly. Peter Hegseth openly talks about men and their sexuality more than I do. He openly talks about muscles and manly men and testosterone levels and you know, strength and all that. Peter Hegseth is the biggest closeted queer around, in my opinion. Because all he does is talk about men and their physique. That's all he does. He is obsessed with the male physique. He is gayer than me. Look at MAGA. The Department of War guy is gayer than me, and Andrew Tate is the leader of the manosphere. The toxic masculinity himself is arrested in capri pants with a V-neck. And they think gay people are weird.
If you're not visiting reallykarel.com daily, you're missing out. Get the podcast videos and the blog, including recipes, at reallykarel.com. That's really KAREL.com.
Showtime is here, no time to fear. Karel is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Karel is the one that you need to know.
All right, we are back. Think about that. Donald Trump does a dance where he literally jerks off 2 people at once so they can bukkake on his face, to the gayest song ever, YMCA. Peter Hegseth spends his time talking about the male physique, what makes a masculine man, and how we should pump them up on steroids. And Andrew Tate is arrested in capri pants with Zoris and a V-neck purple shirt, wearing so much jewelry that he had to have someone take off his necklaces before he was hauled off to jail. And they think trans or gay people are weird. These people are ridiculous. They are ridiculous. Meanwhile, a new poll came out about how Trump is handling the Iran war. Every single group of people, independents, Democrats, And then the populace overall, less than 20% approve of how he's handling Iran. Republicans, 66% approve of how he's handling Iran. That shows how dangerously out of touch the Republican Party is and how it is a threat to our national security and should be done away with. Look at the Republican Party. They can't even do the business of government because they won't tell the truth about one of their members who is obviously dead. Mitch McConnell is obviously on a ventilator somewhere. Obviously. Politicians love to get in front of cameras. If Mitch McConnell can get up, walk, button his own shirt. Look, my niece was on a ventilator. And she just got released from the hospital yesterday. Why? Because she could get up, go to the bathroom, and dress herself. That was their criteria. So if Mitch McConnell can do all those things, he'd be at home with occupational therapy, speech therapy, rehab. He'd have in-home visits. He would not be in a rehab facility. He wouldn't be. I know so much about medicine. Every time I talk to a doctor, they ask if I'm a doctor. I am telling you, he's on a ventilator. Or this incident left him with permanent brain damage. And he may be breathing on his own, but be brain damaged. Prove me wrong, Mitch McConnell. Prove me wrong, Republicans. You have a seated senator, one of 100, that cannot vote. So the business of the country is not being done. Meanwhile, the head of our Secretary of Defense wants to pump up young men on steroids, and our president wants to cry about a 6-year-old election that he lost. And then the head of the manosphere is being arrested in capris and zoris. Wow. I just, when you put it all that way, when you put it all that way, we are as absurd as we seem, are we not? We are completely absurd when you put it that way. Meanwhile, we have very real issues. We've got the war going on. We've got prices soaring. We've got the strait closed again. So gas has gone back up to almost $5 a gallon here in Nevada. You've got smoke from wildfires choking out American cities. You've got, pick your disaster, pick your poison. And who's interested in that? Certainly not Donald Trump. Nah. He's got to revisit an election he lost. Boo, hoo, 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 hoo. I lost. I never want to hear Donald Trump say he really won the election, just like I never want to hear Bill Clinton, I did not have sex with that woman. Yes, you did. There are things you just don't want to hear people say anymore. The election was 6 years ago, Donald. Let it fucking go. Okay, you've got your second term. I don't know what he expects. A third term? A consolation prize? Does he want to be posthumously awarded the second term that he never got? What is his goal? Could it be to delegitimize the midterms? Could it be because he knows that the Republicans are going to get their ass handed to them? And he wants to do everything he can to call voting into question, the same methods that were used to elect him. He wants to stop mail-in ballots for the midterms. And yet, okay, let's let him do that. But then let's tell him we're going to null and void all mail-in ballots that were for him. Let's tell Donald Trump that we will stop mail-in ballots in the midterms so long as every vote for Donald Trump that was cast via the mail is thrown out. How about that? You think he'd go for that? Let's say, hey, you're right. Venezuela can mess with voting machines. So we won't use those in the midterms, but every vote you got from a voting machine is going to be voided because obviously they can't be trusted. How about we do that? How much do you think he'd suddenly like voting machines then? Since we know his friend Elon Musk manipulated the voting machines. And how do we know? Donald Trump said so out loud at a speech. So that's how we know. So, hey, if voting machines are so bad, if mail-in ballots are so bad, then that must mean that his election in 2024 was illegitimate because both those methods were used. You see how there's no logic here? How you can't draw a straight line from one thing to one thing. You know? Yeah, maybe Hagsbreath thinks it will make much better invaders on the ground. He wants to be invaded, all right, by several troops. You can just tell. He wants to get drunk with the boys and say, oh, I'm just your bro. Let me handle that for you. I know Pete Hagsbreath's type. I know his type. I've had sex with his type. You know, I know his type. All manly and bro. And he just wants to get into the pants of those troops. That's what he wants. You can tell it's what he wants. He is fixated on their physiques. Oh, they need more testosterone to be more manly and virile and strong. Meanwhile, the Fox News host, who went on air and said that our troops are going to rape women across the world, that's what he said. I could play you the clip where he says, women beware. Once our troops get this testosterone and they get shore leave, they're going to just go crazy. He literally said American troops will be raping women happily. He happily said it like it was a good thing when they start taking testosterone. Yeah, that's what he said. This is who MAGA is. This is who the right is. Just a ridiculous set of circumstances. It truly is. And there we have it. That's what happened in the last few days since you and I have been together. That's what happened. FIFA had a big World Cup. Spain won. The halftime show was terribly produced by, I guess, by Coldplay, Chris Martin, who threw away all the talent that he had. Could have had Madonna do several songs. No one would have complained. Meanwhile, Trump went on TV and cried again that he lost the 2020 election and implicated himself and his staff. They're the ones that were running things in 2019 and 2020, so he implicated himself and his staff. Then we had our Department of Secretary of Defense talking about how he wants to pump up our troops on roids. That's great. Oh, and England got a new the UK got a new prime minister. That Andrew, what's his name? Andrew something or other. He's their new PM. They're 7th in 6 years. They're rough on their PMs. They're just going through them like crazy. So they have a new one. Harry went over with Meghan and the kids and met with Charles. He did not meet with William. I wonder what happened between the brothers. They were so close for so long. Is William really a racist? Is that what it is? Is it really Meghan Markle that has driven the wedge between them because she's black? Is that really why William doesn't like Harry anymore? I don't know. That makes me sad. That does make me sad. Yeah. Hagsbreath obsession is just weird. You know, it's true. It's weird. He's obsessed with the physique of the troops. He's had 4 public speeches about the physique of the troops. He had one saying that, you're going to have to be carrying backpacks and blah, blah, blah. And we don't care if you're a woman or a man. You're going to have to lift these things and jump this high and do this many pull-ups. Now he's saying he's going to give them steroids because they don't look the way he wants them to. This guy's obsessed with the male physique. He really wants them to look like Tom of Finland soldiers. That's a lawmaker said that. A Democratic lawmaker, a lesbian. She said, why does he want our military to look like Tom of Finland? She even said Tom of Finland. And if you don't know who Tom of Finland is, go look him up. Go look up his art. Because that's what Pete wants our soldiers to look like. A homoerotic poster that you'd see in a bar in the 80s. So we are living in the upside down, people. Meanwhile, The biggest movie of the weekend, The Odyssey, came out. Now, the right hates it. Why? Because they're racist, bigoted fucks. First of all, they can't stand that Zendaya's in it. Oh, well, she's not white. And then Lupita, being the Helen of Troy, drove them over the edge. They're just driven over the edge with that. So they're saying it's too woke. Now, this morning, my friend Jeannie said, did you go see The Odyssey over the weekend because you love movies? I said, no. She said, why? I said, because Chris Nolan filmed it 70 millimeter IMAX. And Las Vegas is blessed to be one of the cities that has a 70 millimeter IMAX projector. The seats are $55 for general admission to see a movie. $55. So, no. Not going to go see a movie for $55. I'm just not. And I'm not going to go see a movie in the 16:9 format when it wasn't filmed in that format. You might as well watch it on your phone. You know? So, not going to do it. I will see it when the IMAX will go down in price. When they're not filling the seats anymore, it won't be $50 to go see it in the IMAX. So I will wait until the Hulu dies down, the hullabaloo dies down, but I ain't paying $50 to see a movie. Would you guys pay $50 to see a movie? Oh, but it's an experience. It's this. No. I won't go see The Wizard of Oz at the Sphere for $125, and I won't go see The Odyssey at the Palms for $55. In LA, tickets are over $100. So now the movie's not woke, it's just elitist. You have to be wealthy to go see it, the way that it was intended. You poor people, you can see it on the screens the way it wasn't intended. But the wealthy, you get to see it just as it was made. Yeah, no. And shame on Chris Nolan. Really, shame, he filmed it in a format that he knew there were only 21 theaters in the U.S. that could show it. And he knew they would be charging hundreds of dollars. So that's kind of crappy. Kind of crappy indeed. All right, just checking the chat room. You never have to vote again. Yes, he did say that. Donald Trump did say, vote for me, and you'd never have to vote for anyone again. And he is trying to make that a reality. He is. He's doing everything he can to make us not confident in our voting. All right, let's take a look at the world news right now, see what's up on the globe and what's happening out there and how we all feel about it. We've got an Iran war update. 3 U.S. troops were killed, dozens wounded. Dozens. Okay? Dozens wounded. Dozens. See the headline right here? Iran war updates. 3 U.S. troops killed, dozens wounded. How about this headline? Pentagon withheld dozens of U.S. military injuries in Iran war. That should be, someone should pay for that. Peter Hegseth should pay for that. If he's the one that, then make him pay. Too busy talking about Manny. I'll be back in just a second to take a further look at today's news. Don't go anywhere.
Patreon is the way to show you care. Subscribe today if you dare. Keep the show on there. Patreon is the way. Now it's showtime.
All right, we are back. We are looking at the news today, what's going on in it, and let's see. So we've got 3 troops killed, dozens wounded. If this doesn't turn the tide on the war, I don't, then what's going to? Okay, I don't know. Here in Las Vegas, we have these little cars called Zook. They're owned by Jeff Bezos, and they're totally autonomous. They have to redo their software now because there was heavy smoke from a fire in Las Vegas. And the Zook drove right into it. Just right into the smoke. Probably not good. So they're redoing the software on that. Let's see. Vegas myth busted. Elvis Presley sang Viva Las Vegas in concert even once. Well, I saw him sing it in the Aloha from Hawaii, so I know he did. Expansion of U.S. strikes on Iran leads to more retaliation across the Gulf. So our war with Iran is causing Gulf states to be attacked. And I'm sure they are not happy about that. And here's a great story. Oh, this is wonderful. So, Cyclospora is out there. And everybody is, don't you hate every time you go to a website, you got to go through 5 things before you get there? So Cyclospora is out there, but the FDA now says that the positive Cyclospora test on Taylor Farms lettuce was an error. So 2 things happened. They falsely accused Taylor Farms, who then recalled all of their shredded lettuce from Taco Bell, even though they don't need to. And they falsely put Taco Bell in jeopardy by a false positive test because they are so inept, because they are so underfunded and understaffed, thanks to RFK Jr. and Donald Trump. So now we still have no idea what the source of it is, where it's coming from, and it was a false claim against Taylor Farms. Can you smell lawsuit? Because they lost a lot of money. So I would probably say there's going to be a lawsuit. So isn't that wonderful? We still don't know where it came from. We have no idea. And all we really know is that the FDA is not doing their job. Andy Berman, he is the new prime minister in the UK. He has pledged to end instability. Yeah, okay. Maine has a new Democratic senator. They got rid of Plattner. They have a new guy. He's older, whiter, having a grand time, I guess. And, will he beat Suze Collins? I don't know. I hope he will. What else? Moms are turning against Donald Trump. Well, good. Good. The Vampire of the Stat delivers a manic and moving season finale. I haven't watched this season yet, so I don't want to know. What else? Netflix new Philip K. Dick show adapts one of his most... What? Which one? Because, he wrote Blade Runner. What else? The World Jones Made. Okay, well, that'll be something to look forward to. Justin Bieber, Madonna, BTS, and Shakira divide World Cup audiences with underwhelming halftime performance. See, I'm not the only one. With underwhelming halftime. And that's just what I'm saying. They were not bad themselves. They can't be. Justin Bieber has a great voice. Madonna is an incredible performer. Shakira, BTS, they can't be bad. But, the show was very, very, very underwhelming. What else is going on? Voters are wary of government ownership in companies as Trump takes equity stakes. Is everyone aware that's communism, by the way? Trump taking equity in companies is a mixture of socialism and communism. And he claims to be against that. And yet that's what he's doing. Canada issues air quality warnings over U.S. wildfire smoke after Trump tariff threat. Yeah, he's going to punish them for having wildfires. Isn't that something? IMAX made $52 million for the Odyssey over the weekend. Well, yeah, at $50 a person. Why wouldn't it? And a judge has put a temporary pause on the Paramount Warner Brothers merger, as they should, because that's going to make too big of a monopoly. So those are some of the headlines today out there in the world. I hope you feel informed now, feel a little better, understand what's going on. Yeah, a lot of people want to see it in the IMAX theater, but either they don't have one or the price is cost prohibitive. I was looking in the chat room. Someone said, I'm in Oregon. I'd like to see it. Yeah, Portland Pride was over the weekend. I hear that was fun. My friend Daniel Amspa, he was like, I don't know that I'm going to go. I said, go. Go out and kiss a boy. He said, okay. I hope he did. I haven't heard from him this morning. Maybe he did more than kiss a boy. But I said, it's pride. Go out and go kiss a boy. So hopefully he did. What else in the world? That's about it. That's about all we have time for today. So don't forget to like and subscribe on the videos at youtube.com/reallykarel. If you are a patron at patreon.com/reallykarel, you know I love you. You keep the show going. So thank you for that. Also, you can get the audio portion of this show wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, iHeart, everywhere, Spreaker. So just go and either get the audio or the video. I prefer you subscribe and like the video, but go ahead and do that at youtube.com/reallykarel. And of course, join our chat from 10 to 11 Pacific Standard Time every morning when we do the show live, and you can comment about the topics there with a great group of chatters in the chat room. So do all of that for me, please. I know IMAX is the way. 52 million at IMAX. That means there's so many people. See, that's what I wanted to talk about this today. Maybe we'll talk more about it tomorrow. A new statistic out this morning. 49% of people under 30. 49% of people under 30 do this. What do you think it is? 49% of people under 30 do this. What do you think it is? Live at home. Live with their parents. And talk about that tomorrow. Hi, I'm Karel. Be who you want to be, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody. 49% of people under 30 live with their parents. Don't forget to go to reallykarel.com, the website that has it all. That's reallykarel.com. You can preview my new single there.
It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Karel Cast on your favorite streaming service. You're listening to the Karel Cast. Driving you home or driving you crazy. It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Karel Cast on your favorite streaming service.